Today in this video, we're going to be covering the topic of visualization, why it's important, how this stuff works, and how we're going to use it consciously towards achieving our goals, going in the direction that we want to, and to actually experience things that we want in this life. So our imagination is an incredible power. It is something that happens within our mind. The imagination is very powerful. This is part of the creative process, the beginning of the creative process. When we think of something, when we have an idea in our mind that we want to go towards, it starts by having an idea in our mind. Maybe we see something that looks appealing. Somebody plants a seed in our mind and we say, yes, I want that thing. I want to gravitate towards this area. I would like to experience this. And what is happening right now is that we are always visualizing. We are always using our imagination. Even right now, as we're watching this video, we are currently using our imagination and experiencing something. Very rarely are we in the present moment, right here, right now. Usually, we are rehearsing something that has happened in the past that we would like to go over, or recalibrate, or try. It's something that is stuck in our mind from the past, and we want to resolve this issue. Or we are thinking about something in the future, something that has not yet happened, but we are anticipating it. We are thinking about it. We might be anxious about this situation that's upcoming, whether it is in a few minutes, later in the day, later in the week, or even months ahead of time. But we are always thinking about something that is not here right now, which is using our imagination. The problem is that we are using this power of our imagination unconsciously. So we're going to take the time right now to think, what are we thinking about? What are we rehearsing in our mind continuously? And whether it is in this moment, whether it has been throughout the day, what are we usually rehearsing? Usually this is done unconsciously. We don't usually take the time to stop and think, what am I actually thinking about? What sort of mental conversations am I having? What is the nature of those conversations? But we're going to start to do that and understand what is playing. What are we rehearsing in our mind? This part of our imagination needs to be understood, so we are going to become aware of it. We don't want to have this as an unconscious process. Now, there could be many things that we are rehearsing, many reasons of why we are rehearsing these things. It could be from outside sources, things that have happened to us that are emotionally impactful. Part of the reason is that we are seeing things, whether it's in the media, on social media, or in the news, things of a certain nature. And usually, sometimes when we're watching the news, we see things of a nature that is of death, destruction, and disease. So what that is, information, that is content that is coming into our mind, and we then, it might give us an emotional response when we hear certain things about death and tragic events. Those get stuck with us. And once that gets stuck with us, we start rehearsing the nature of those things that we saw. So for example, we could see something on the news of the latest deadly disease. Whether it is relevant or not, the news is making it relevant. And what's going to happen is that we are going to think about and contemplate ideas and thoughts that are around that disease. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? How can we avoid this? How many people has it killed so far? What are the types of symptoms? And all sorts of things around those diseases. The problem is, this seems like a good idea to avoid that disease and to, stay clear of it and take your precautions. The problem is that we are focused on the disease to begin with. And when we are focused on the disease and we have an emotional response, whether it is of fear, whether it is of anxiety, we are going to get that in some way, shape, or form whether it is more news of that nature, whether it is the people around us speaking to us about it, or actually getting sick, or it might be us actually succumbing to those symptoms and having this disease. So the material that we are absorbing usually gets rehearsed in our mind, and we are going to start to pay attention to what kind of material that we are rehearsing in our mind, because our ultimate goals and desires and the trajectory that we want to go in and experience very rarely pop up in our face from the news or from random social media. Very rarely are we going to be or feel inspired to think about things that are in line with our cause, with our purpose, with our mission. And this is why this is happening unconsciously. So we want to become aware of what is playing, what kind of material we're absorbing, and what kind of mental conversations are happening. And the first step of awareness can happen right now when we are prompted to think, what are we thinking about? What is playing in our mind? And this is just one prompt. And this is happening one time right now, and again right now, and again right now. This is how many thoughts that we're having, and we could have. Every moment is a new moment and is subject to a new thought. I've been in situations sometimes where I wake up in the morning and right away my mind is off to mental conversations, to mental arguments, to rehearsing situations, scenarios of what happened in the past and how I'm going to outwit this conversation in the future. And that is a complete total waste of time. And yes, it may have been traumatic that I want to overcome this situation, but it is not taking me in any direction that I want to go to. I don't even want to have an argument in the first place or a debate at all to begin with. And it's not necessarily in line with my highest ultimate purpose that I would like to experience. So throughout the day, we need to prompt ourselves to analyze our thoughts and pay attention to the feelings that are running through our body. Once we do this, we can consciously direct our mind's eye to places, to things, to experiences that are much more in line with our direction. If you are familiar with some of the teachings of Neville Goddard, there is a time and place that are ideal to practicing visualizations. Once we are aware and we want to do this and direct it consciously, there are a few tips, and we're going to run over some of those tips of how to start visualizing the things that we want. The first step is to have an ideal that we would like, and our highest ideal, something that is so magical that it would be our life's mission. It would grant us everything that we would like to experience with this ideal. So for example, it could be a career path, a job, something in line with the work that you do, and it has no bearing. When we practice our ideals and this manifesting our desires through visualization, we don't want to contemplate anything that is current. In the eyes of creation, anything is possible without any limit, no ifs, ands, or buts. There is no restriction, and it's the same way that we would want to use our mind. No excuses whatsoever. We just want to focus on that end ideal that we have in our heart, and this has to be something that is powerful and meaningful to us, because if it's not, we're not going to stick with it. So a time and place, meaning that we could sit down in a chair for 20 minutes to 30 minutes that is quiet, that we won't be interrupted. Another time and place is right before bed, when our mind gets very low and our senses are very dimmed, but we can still use our mind. Neville Goddard refers to this as the state akin to sleep, similar to sleep but not quite sleeping. When we are in this situation, we want to bring that ideal about. So it could be receiving an award for the work that we've done. After it is all completed and we've done something amazing in our career and we have achieved certain things, we might be getting an award. So we want to rehearse this scenario with possibly a short phrase that somebody is saying to us. So for example, we could be getting an award, could be at a stage, could be at a conference. Could be one-to-one with somebody that you respect, and we want to rehearse them saying to us something along the lines of congratulations, job well done, and them giving us the reward. That is a short snippet of a whole completed ideal scenario. We want to keep it short because when we are intentionally visualizing, we are going to be in a quiet space, in a state akin to sleep, and we want to keep it short because that is something that is easy, repeatable, and simple to focus on. That is something that we can loop over and over and over again in our mind to practice that. And what are we practicing? We are practicing seeing it from a first-person perspective. We are practicing hearing those words of somebody congratulating us. We are also practicing the feelings that we have running throughout our whole body when we are receiving that award, when we are in our ideal situation at the very end of our ideal. These are the things that we want to rehearse and practice when we are doing our visualization. We are consciously directing our mind to the end. When we are doing this, we are consciously using our imagination. We are planting that seed, and it could be for anything. It could be for a relationship. So there could be a phrase, a scenario that we have that marks a successful relationship that we have obtained in one short scene. It could also be a level of health. It could be something along the lines of doing something that we may have done when we were a child, a level of energy that we have, maybe a sport that we played, maybe even receiving an award for winning a competition in regards to that sport. But whatever it is, it's going to be short and it's going to be quick and it's going to be the end. And that seed that is in our mind's eye is the fulfilled desire. Why are we planting the seed? Because once that seed is planted, we are using the creative process of our imagination, and the rest will be taken care of. We don't need to worry about the rest because our mind already is fixed on the end goal, the how, the what, the but, regardless of any circumstances, any conditions that are currently present. Whatever it is, we are going to be striving towards that goal. We are going to bring that about. And we don't have to worry about situations where the money's going to come from, where the person's going to come from. How am I going to get rid of my current health condition to achieve substantially better health? We don't need to worry about that. It may not make any sense because we are usually thinking along the lines of step 1, step 2, step 3. Not with visualization. We are jumping straight to the end. We are going to our ideal situation. We're going to let the how take care of itself from the universe, from anything that is in this play. Any part, any person, any situation will come about to direct us to that goal. We don't need to worry about the how. We don't need to worry about any sort of thing. All we need to do is contemplate that visualization before we go to bed or at a specific time that we set aside throughout the day, and we need to soak that in. What's going to happen is that our frequency will match that end goal perfectly. And when that happens, things will come about. Situations, opportunities, people, and circumstances will adjust themselves to making this happen. And we don't have to look for evidence. The only evidence we have to look for is how things have happened in our own life, how things have played out, where we are right now with our method of thinking. And if this sounds very strange, it's because it is. We are not taught this. This is not common information about using our imagination. But from now and this point forward, we can start to contemplate these ideas at least and go forward and test these theories. We can start with something small, manifesting something later on in our day-to-day by using the same method of envisioning, of having that ideal by the end of the day, that somebody will say something miraculous to me, and practice that, rehearse that, feel it as intensely as possible, and see what happens. And hold it there. Hold it as much as possible. When we are in these states of visualization, yes, when we get up, it will change. Our thoughts might go in a different direction, but we can always come back to this emotional signature that we created by way of a thought, by the way of an ideal. Now that when the word ideal comes up, there might be already a picture there. So that is a reminder. So the first step is being aware of what we're already thinking, what we're contemplating, mental rehearsals that are always happening. And the second step is to consciously decide what we want to think about and the direction that we want to go in. So this was a quick rundown of the visualization process. I hope this makes sense. Drop a comment, let me know what you think, and good luck with using your imagination.